Welcome back, Story Dads. Dad's Night Out this week. So we're discussing a kind of half dads, half kids movie. It comes from an old era from 1984, The Karate Kid. This was a blast of a conversation. The conversation will take a couple little surprises. I have something interesting about my experience with this movie that you're going to have to stay tuned to see. It happens right at the beginning and frames the conversation. So glad to have you, and welcome to Story Dads.
Welcome to Story Dads.
Welcome to Story Dads, everyone. Hope we got some new viewers. Fun episode we did last week with my friend Caitlin. That was our most. I know Caitlin shares like crazy, so shout out Caitlin. Thanks for being with us. But we had our most single downloads in one day when that episode came out. So that was fun. So it makes a difference when you share our podcast with friends.
Tell your friends and argue about movies and look for patterns.
Yeah, you won't regret it. It's a ton of fun.
That's right. And big ups to story moms out there doing the hard work.
Yeah, we got some story mom stuff coming down the pike, so stay tuned for that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Well, good to see you, Micah. What are we discussing today?
Well, it's Dad's Night Out again, finally. For
Dad's
crying out
Night
loud.
Out. Is this a Dad's Night Out movie? Does this one count?
One of these enough kids movies, all right? So
I know.
Well,
we want to go watch something that we want to watch.
This is kind of a kids movie,
it is kind
let's
of
be
a kids
honest.
movie.
Okay,
but it's
so
from our
the
era.
movie. Yeah, go. What is it?
It's The Karate Kid, and it's
the
a classic. The original Karate Kid, not the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith one. It is the original Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, Mr. Miyagi.
It was a phenom. So I want you to put yourself back in time. It's 1984. There's no such thing as rollerblades. I don't even know. Like the Ninja Turtles had not left.
No.
Like the world of cult comics yet.
Nope.
I was 4 in 1984.
I was not alive yet. I was 3 years away. Yeah. Micah, can I tell you a secret about this movie? I had not seen this movie before we decided to watch it.
Incredible.
Like one of those movies that's like everyone's quoting and you're just kind of in the ether and zeitgeist.
Yeah,
and
you just
when
roll
hear
with
about
it.
And it just never kind of comes up. And then like, yeah, I should probably watch that. But, it's so far past thing and no one's like, there's just never a time where it came up to watch it. I had not seen it until last night.
Wow, Eric, that's amazing. So tell me about that. How was that experience for you? Just tell me how it was. Does it hold up? What was it?
I mean, it so many vibes about just like just pure 1984. We talked with Caitlin last week about like the 80s, 90s montage scene, like perfect montages around that. Just it's total vibes, but it's also like, I hadn't seen the movie, but the movie's been referenced like a million times. So inevitably you pick up on all sorts of stuff. So I feel like when you watch a movie that's as iconic and beloved like this, that you haven't seen, that's been around forever, you just kind of start going like, oh, that's where that thing came from. Oh, that's where that thing came from. Oh, that's where that thing came from. And it was just like, it was just kind of a lot of that throughout it.
Amazing. Yeah.
I was curious, do you have any movies that kind of fit in that vein where it's like, it's the one everyone's talked about, but it just, the moment kind of passed?
I'll tell you what happened to me when Napoleon Dynamite came out.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I was in school or for whatever reason, I couldn't get to the theaters to see it. And it was such a phenom.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in the world was doing Napoleon Dynamite impersonations.
Yeah.
And they're all terrible. Like nobody can do them except the guy, like he does them. Everyone else should just leave it alone.
Gosh.
It was Jared Hayter. John Hader, yeah. And he anyway, so I was so sick and tired of Napoleon Dynamite without ever having seen it. So it was like 4 or 5 years later, I finally watched it. And so I was completely repulsed by everything with Napoleon in it. But like the rest of the cast, I was like, these guys are amazing. This movie's awesome. It still hit me as like a great movie that I really enjoyed. But it took me a while to get over everybody else's Napoleon Dynamite impersonations and embrace like how awesome his performance was and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie,
Totally.
But that was my like where I missed the original boat, and then when I
But
got on
I
it,
feel like everyone's got one of those where it's like it's something that either you missed or it was iconic at one time, but then you didn't really see it, but then all your friends quote it and you just kind of play along like someone who just for whatever reason didn't see Anchorman and then
right,
everyone quotes Anchorman and then it's like, yeah, okay. And then
yeah,
you watch it however many years later, or I feel like my kids got really into The Sandlot from it because they're all playing baseball and
oh sure,
like that was a fun movie and it was fun little like kids, boys, summertime movie, right? My wife didn't grow up with any of that, so she hadn't really seen The Sandlot. So she's like, "Oh yeah," I feel like, or maybe I kind of remember it at some point, but it wasn't really like a thing, right? And then you actually watch it for the first time. It's like, oh, okay, I get the thing, but I'm watching it in 2026 for the first time, The Karate Kid.
right.
This movie, it's 42 years after it came out, and it's like I I'm sure the experience I'm having is a totally different lens than everyone else. But yeah,
Well, and so what
this is
was
my
it
big
like? How
surprise coming into it.
good movie? Like you like
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
yeah, it was like a lot of times when we're doing this, I'm like, all right, I should rewatch a movie or get a sense of like what we're going to be talking about going into this, and gotten the kids down. I'm kind of tired, and so like, all right, we'll see if I gotta just get a gist of what this is about and go from there. Like the characters captured me like super quick. Like I did not expect that Mr. Miyagi was the maintenance guy at the apartment. Like I expected the vibes just to be pure like 80s moving to LA. It had a lot of like 80s high school like teen comedy stuff that like I didn't totally expect. I thought it was more of just like a like kids practicing karate with each other kind of thing. Like I see a lot of Stranger Things stuff that like pulled from this movie where like of course like the vibes, but the kids getting picked on at school and just that whole the girl making eyes at you, going to the arcade, like, it was just, I don't know, it was such a time. Obviously, I've seen other movies that have that kind of energy, but like, it jumped out like, oh, I missed an iconic one.
yeah.
Yeah,
And what's interesting, like it's just the purity of it. Like
yeah,
it's unapologetic,
yeah,
and just just sort of the naked naivety of like yeah, it's a boy, he likes a girl. Like there's not a lot of tension. It's like they
yeah,
lock eyes at
yeah,
minute 4 of the movie, and you're
yeah,
like, well, all right,
yeah.
well, this is that's her,
And she's
and the bully
automatically
shows
into
up
him. Yeah,
right away.
yeah,
And but what filmmaking did so perfectly back then, and I think people understood the difference in the medium. I think they understood that cinema was one thing and TV was another. And now
okay,
they've cross pollinated to the point where, also people didn't have phones in their pockets. And so, they write movies now knowing that you're not watching the movie. And they write
yeah,
TV
yeah, yeah,
series now knowing that
yeah,
you're not watching it. And so,
yeah,
TV series were always dialogue heavy. That was always the nature of TV. Is like
hmm,
plays were 100% dialogue.
yeah,
TV was like 60 to 80% dialogue, and then movies should be like 20 to 40% dialogue, because you're
hmm,
supposed to be watching, because if you don't have to watch it, then why are you commanding my attention this way?
right,
And
right,
so many things in this movie are done so well without explanation. Like there's not a whole lot of exposition to tell you like, so Ralph Macchio's dad left his mom and
yeah,
she's the
yeah,
plucky
yeah, yeah,
survivor, and it's like you just
right,
see it, like the way
yeah,
that she does like the rolling jump, jump starts her car,
hmm,
and that she's like
yeah,
plows ahead. Like we get a
yeah,
sense that like mom's working really hard, and
yeah,
is like
yeah,
we get a sense of her character. She's hardly in the
yeah,
movie, but she's such a present force that like she's the
yeah,
beginning of the whole thing.
sure.
And Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel, we see through his behavior that he's like a decent. Nobody has to say like, well, Daniel's a good one. Like he's the
Yeah, yeah,
decent
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
and we don't need to get super into the emotional manipulation and all the crap that John. Like we can kind of figure out why they broke up. He's a complete
Mhm.
asshole, and he like
Yeah,
emotionally
yeah.
blackmails this
Yeah,
poor
yeah,
girl, and like
yeah.
all this stuff.
Well, at the very
But
beginning, he tried very first scene, he's like, "Who's this guy? And I'm gonna steal your boombox."
right. Yeah. And then it's like, it's your fault this happened. I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's a total bastard.
yeah.
And then what's incredible about Johnny's character is that by the end of the movie, at the very end, he's actually sympathetic. which is wild.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that because I think the crux of this movie centers around this idea of like fatherlessness, like not having an example or a role model.
Yeah.
And like, be careful who you serve. And that like everybody apprentices somebody.
Be careful who you apprentice under. Be careful who you seek out as your sensei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, the juxtaposition between Mr. Miyagi and just the 80s had just such great, these meathead looking blonde dudes who like are just the clear bad guy there, the sensei of the Cobra Kai dojo.
And did you watch Cobra Kai when it came out?
No, I didn't. I was like, I didn't have the framework for, because I hadn't seen, like, I knew what Cobra Kai was. I knew Billy Zane was a Cobra Kai guy, right?
Well, I'm telling you, like, now, like, you're welcome. You have a whole new story ecosystem to enter into, because Cobra Kai, I think, does the thing. It does the postmodern thing really well. And this is not a review of, this is not an episode about Cobra Kai, but, you know, the postmodern thing is to go and deconstruct your story and go, oh, well, what if like Beowulf is the bad guy and Grendel's the good guy? And it's like, yeah, but he's not. That's actually, it's not that you've discovered some neat thing. It's you've fundamentally misunderstood the nature of the story.
Right.
And it's a gimmick, and it works for postmodernists because if you're like, look, it's fine as a thought experiment, but people then take it seriously. Well, what if Cruella is the good? What if Maleficent is the good guy?
And Scar from The Lion King. What if that's the case, right? So if you really want to play that out, well, what if Cain was the good guy here, and Abel was the one being a snot-nosed whatever? And now you have the whole nature of what we build everything on. You're trying to turn upside down.
Well, and that ultimately is the point. Like
that is the point. Right.
It's not lost on me that like the first really famous one of these was Grendel, because Beowulf is like the first Western text, you know, if you don't count like scripture, which is, you know, Middle Eastern, but like, you know, the oldest story that the English speaking world is built on is Beowulf. So for them to go directly for that one and go, what if it was upside down? It's like, yeah, well, what if 2 + 2 wasn't 4, and what if men weren't women, all that stuff. Like, it's not lost on me, like what they're attempting to do. Cobra Kai was, I think, smart about it, because they didn't go in and just go, well, what if Johnny was the good guy and Daniel was the bad guy? They went in and then went, hey, life's complicated. And, you know, this is a separate world. It's separated by decades. Let's just go peek into what Johnny's life is like now if you play this forward. But what I think was honorable about it was that both characters, all the characters really, are treated with sophistication and nuance and as humans, and that it has an upward bent. It isn't like, what if it was inverted and we could just, you know, kill the good guy now?
Well, because I feel like as much as we rail on kind of the postmodern cynical critiques of everything, especially when it gets to the extreme you talked about, where it's like, we're just going to invert it and the good guys are the bad guys and all that, right? There is a place for, like, and I mean, you even mentioned, you see at the end of this movie, like, Johnny is sympathetic, and you kind of see like a human nuanced side of him, and it just is a reminder, like, all right, there's humans behind these characters. Now, I do feel like when you get more archetypal in these things, when you start getting to like angels and demons and like Lion King, Scar, and Mufasa, it's like, all right, these are brothers, but they represent things that obviously are much bigger than just what's going on in the story. And I feel like it when they're higher up that archetypal ladder, when you start to invert them, it gets messier there. But for like a story like this, Johnny's a fascinating character to just get into, especially because the movie already kind of tips his hand to that at the end.
Yeah. Well, and the other fun thing about, you know, again, the Cobra Kai, well, we don't have to talk about that, but let's just talk about Karate Kid. The fun thing about this is, like you said, is the stakes. Like the stakes for Karate Kid are the stakes of a sophomore in high school.
Right.
In the 80s. And like life was just much simpler then. And so, you know, every human being didn't have the woes of the world on them individually to be anxious about. You only, like, the most important thing in the world is the cute blonde girl and her ex-boyfriend. And then look, like, he gets his ass kicked, and like, this is the, you know,
they weren't apologetic about, like, he gets his ass kicked like several times, and like scars on his face, and they keep popping up in different scenes. Right?
And nobody's wearing helmets. And it's so he's 15 and these other guys are seniors. Like that, I don't know if you remember being in high school, but like the there's a reason why they don't let freshmen play against seniors, because like freshmen are still children.
Right.
Seniors can go to war. Like seniors are men.
Yeah.
And there were dudes like when I was in high school, there were seniors that had like just full beards and like, you know, they were like hairy like a Wolverine, or, you know, like,
I mean,
just some like big dudes.
I know you're not, I know you've not been a big sports fan. I'm a big NFL guy. They just had the NFL draft. The NFL draft is always fascinating because these 20-year-old kids are getting drafted to the NFL, and, you know, they don't look like 20-year-old kids. I'll tell you that. They look like these, like, warrior giants.
And so there's someone in their school that still looks like, you know, that's like 14 or 15. And so like when, you know, poor Danielson is trying to face off against he's trying to outrun them at the Halloween dance. And I'm like, good luck, dude. Like these kids are juiced with testosterone. Like, you're screwed, buddy.
But you know, he's still enough of a smart ass to like still prank Johnny in the bathroom while he's rolling his joint. Like, I'm gonna put the hose to pour water on him. So it's like, he's not exactly like doing the like quiet, scared kid that just, I want to keep my head down, like not make waves. He's still got kind of that chip on his shoulder, like, F you guys, I'm not just gonna like back down, but then run away when a whole group of these guys is coming after him.
What I like about that moment is that like he like commits to fighting them, but he does it in a way that's contrary to his character. Because everything we've seen up until then is like he's nice, he's polite, he apologizes. Like after that first fight on the beach, he tries to put his hand out and be like, "We're even, right, bro?" You know, like he's trying to be above board. And then he does this thing where he's like, I'm just gonna get back at him any way I can, which is sort of like he starts kind of like dancing with the dark side of trying to find his place in this little ecosystem. And what it results in is it screws up the party. Like, it's a conflagration there. It's a whole bunch of car accidents in the street. Like the community is now impacted as he's now, you know, and again, we're physicalizing metaphors. So he's introduced this level of chaos that's not sustainable for him as a person. Well, that's especially not under his new burgeoning tutelage and relationship with his like father figure. And it results in like a serious ass beating where like this is the one that might be the last one, because you know, when like Johnny throws that kick at the sign, like breaks the sign, you know, it's like that was gonna kill him, you know, or like however you kill someone in 1984. And
this was shortly after where he wanders into the Cobra Kai dojo and he sees all those guys training and they're hyper aggressive. I wrote down there like the mantra they said, strike first, strike hard, no mercy, which is very not like what any like martial artist will tell you, like, you know, the mentality of it is, but the whole thing is just like aggression, fight first. Like you be the one to like, your hands are weapons, use them to be a tyrant, right? Like
right. And their symbol is this predatory snake, you know?
And so he tries to do that first, right? Like he's just starting with Mr. Miyagi. He hasn't really taken in like the true essence of what martial arts are about. He just goes like, well, I gotta kick these guys' ass so they don't kick mine first, right? And so I'm gonna be aggressive and go after them. So he's entering into the world, but he's not yet equipped or knows how to do it. He's trying to play the game.
And that call to power is tempting. Like when he first comes into the school, he's like, this is awesome. This is what I need. Yeah. And then he sees a Johnny's in there. He's like, I can't have it. I can't do it that way. He tries to do it that way.
Well, it's also like there's a whole army of all these guys who like, I'm not going to brute strength them and overpower them. These are seniors. I'm sophomore, right?
Yeah.
I did want to go back to the beginning. What was as someone who moved to LA yourself and moved into a dumpy apartment and started a life there, how did Johnny's entrance to Southern California strike you? Was it a good experience? Was it a rough
Daniel, well, you know, so I moved to Los Angeles in 1998, but I went to school. So like you know, I went to a pretty awesome school. I was at Cal Arts, and like so it was pretty idyllic. Like it was we had a giant pool and it was full of water and it was clean. I mean, marginally clean. The students, it was clothing optional, so I don't know how clean it actually was, but dude, it was awesome. Like I just remember moving to Los Angeles. One of my first memories was Sarah Tangalakis drove her super cool classic Mustang with like 4 of us crammed in there. And we went down to like an independent movie theater on Sunset Boulevard. We watched which was like all artsy. It's like, I moved to LA to make film, and to go and see like an arty independent film and then be on Sunset Boulevard. I think we got out of the movie at like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm just standing in the middle of like, 6 lanes. There was no traffic. There was nobody out there, just like going like, oh my goodness, there's palm trees and stars and like movie. It was magical.
Yeah.
LA is not like that anymore.
Well, it's not like that anymore for sure. But it had this quality where it's like he moves there. His mom's like, LA's going to be awesome. It's going to be this kind of special thing. They're road tripping across the country. And then they get there, and it's an interesting, because he kind of gets like, all of the experience all at once. No, so he moves into the dumpy LA apartment, which is most people's experience when you're moving to LA. Is you move into like your trashy apartment. Well, because they're almost all dumpy. And any place that's not dumpy, you almost certainly can't afford. Like, here's where you're going to be. But then right away, he gets invited to a party from a guy. Right. He meets a girl right away. He also gets his ass kicked and beat up by these other guys. And like, he's just thrust into the whole like new kid on campus experience. And also like you're playing soccer with a group of friends on the beach the first night you're there. Like, I remember so many people when like you're moving into this dumpy apartment, it feels super lonely because you're just there in this new place. You don't know anyone, and you're in this crappy apartment, and you're a small fish in a giant pond for the first time. And I don't know how I'm going to figure all this out. Right. I've talked to people. It's like, I just was in my apartment. I go out and do stuff and try and like figure out how to meet people. But it's like, spend your first 3 to 6 months just like in your crappy apartment with a pool that's mostly drained, right?
Well, I'm also trying to figure out how he got to the beach from Reseda or Encino on a bicycle without a car, and that's a challenge too.
Well, also, how would Reseda and Encino be in the same school district? That was another thing. Like,
that's another one. Like, he's got to be right on the corner, the edge there. The border. Like fewer schools, so it's just better. It's better not to ask too many questions.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah.
And in the 80s, California was like this mystic land of potential. And so, speaking of potential, that's the thing about Daniel, right? Is his character is potential.
Quick break from the conversation to give you guys a reminder to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what movies you want to see. Let us know your thoughts on this conversation so far. What was your experience with Karate Kid? This has been quoted forever. Again, as you know by now, my first experience watching this movie was the day before this. So maybe you're one of the people like me who hadn't seen that before. Let us know what your thoughts are on that, and join the discussion. Thanks for being with us. Back to the show.
What this movie really is about is like his karate sucks. His attitude's not great. Like, he tries. We see that he's a decent kid. Like, at the very beginning, it's like he's nice to the first kid he meets. He's nice to the crazy lady. He's nice to the dog. He's nice to the like weird old man caretaker. Mm-hmm. He's like a decent kid. He stands up for the girl that's getting pushed around even when it's scary. So we see that like he's got all this potential, but he's completely unformed, and he's pretty worthless. He's kind of got a bad attitude a little bit.
Yeah.
He's not torn from the thigh of Zeus. He's not the chosen one. He's not like, he's just a decent kid with some potential. Yeah. He's scrawny and through like, first what he does is proves that he has the potential for a good character.
Yeah.
And when he meets Miyagi, and now the other amazing thing about this movie, there are no actors in it. Like, this thing got greenlit. Like, there's not a single big name in it. And, they just kind of cooked movies up a little differently back then. But, like, nobody is in this movie. This movie made everyone in it. And so when he meets Miyagi, he gives him like this Italian pronunciation, Miyagi. But Miyagi immediately starts like, what do we know about him? He tends a tiny garden. Mm-hmm. He trains trees. He's patient, right? Like, he's a very like messianic kind of like guru teacher. Like, he's got this little Eden. Later we see his other one that he invites Daniel into. And then Cobra Kai is the snake in the garden, right? So we have all these things at play. And so he Daniel steps in and he goes, I prune them and I shape them and I am patient. Like I have a vision and right. And like pruning and shaping is what, in scripture, what God does to his children. Right. So, and then he goes, here, you do it. And immediately starts teaching him. And molding.
Well, he immediately starts teaching him, but it doesn't. I mean, the classic wax on, wax off, paint the fence, paint that. Those are all things I had known about and heard about, and everyone kind of quotes. And they're the quintessential metaphors for like you learn to just do the basics before you actually get out there in the ring. Like be patient, let the process kind of play out. Daniel doesn't even realize that he's being trained at that point. He just thinks this dude's making me do chores before he'll start our training at all.
Yeah. Well, and what's amazing is he invites him in with a covenant immediately. He goes like, hey, I can make a warrior out of you. Mm-hmm. Like I can make essentially a man. That's what this is about, is Daniel growing up and he doesn't have a father. And so this is this father figure. And then later we find out that Miyagi doesn't have a child.
Yeah.
And that was, he lost that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so Miyagi's always talking about his father. So there's this this sense of like really needing to pass this on and having a lineage.
Yeah.
But he invites him into this covenant where he says like, I will make you a man if you do exactly what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And his little speech about this side of the road or that side of the road, not the middle, is totally reminiscent. It's the same thing as when Christ tells his followers, like, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
And then also when he says like, be hot or cold, don't be lukewarm.
Spit you out of my mouth.
Yeah, spit you out. And when he says, if you're down in the middle and you're lukewarm, you get squished. And so it's this invitation to step into a relationship and a covenant of discipline and devotion. And he's like, and you don't get to ask me about it. And what is amazing is, and I see this in my own life as I apprentice after, Jesus, that he's my Miyagi. That's what I try to do. And I am put through paces of what seems like completely unrelated discipline.
Yeah.
The events and the things in my life are like, what is this? What is the point of this crap? Like, why am I going through this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's consistently, just like with Daniel's son, I hit a breaking point where he hits his breaking point. Finally, he gets some attitude.
Yeah.
And he goes, what the heck, Miyagi? Like, what is all this crap? And Miyagi, his response in that moment, and what's neat is like, so like Daniel, he gets sick of it early, but he keeps doing it. And there's another scripture that says, that obedience is sweeter than sacrifice. I mean, sweeter than and then there's a parable that Jesus tells where he talks about, two, I think it's sons, where a father asks one son, like, go out in the field and like do this thing. And the son goes, nah.
Yeah.
And then later he goes and does it.
Yeah.
And then the other son says, of course, father. And then he doesn't go do it.
Right.
Like which one actually honors the father?
Yeah.
So Danielson's got a stinky attitude, but he's obeying. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
And then when he reaches that point where he goes like, dude, what the heck is this stuff? Like you said, you're not holding up to your side of the bargain.
Right.
And Miyagi, he shows his power. He reminds him of the covenant. He shows him his power. But first he heals him. So that's what's interesting, right? The first thing he does is go, let me show you something about my identity.
Yeah.
I'm a healer. So he heals him. And then he goes, now I'm going to show you something else about my character. I have authority. And he like yells at him.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and this is what I've been teaching you the whole time.
Yeah.
And goes, you think I wasn't holding my end of the bargain? That's not an option. I am always going to hold my end of the bargain.
Yeah.
You have been getting these amazing lessons you had no idea you needed. And then when Daniel leaves that encounter, he's chastened, but he's also refreshed. And then he's ready for like the next phase, not only the next phase of his training, but ultimately his next phase of relationship with his sensei, his father, and that's what they start growing together. They start laughing together. They have jokes together. You know?
Well, and he starts finding out about like Miyagi's past, right? And it kind of takes him out of the place of like the divine, but like he starts seeing his mentor for the human he is, and tells him he drinks with him. He tells him about his wife, and he sees how she ended up dying in childbirth around everything. Like, so you start seeing his backstory. Also, there's a parallel I had in the Noah story after they land Noah's Ark and Noah gets drunk and passes out naked, and his sons have to like put him back in his tent and take care of him. One of the sons makes fun of him and he gets cursed, and his lineage is cursed around that because it's, well, you're not like, yes, your father, the mentor, the human, like, it's easy to point back at the past person and generation and look at their flaws and look at their miscomings and their failures and totally deconstruct them and tear them apart. Or you cover that up, not ignore it, but like you honor it and protect the human side that's there and still hold on to the value that's given him. And that's what Daniel does, is he puts his mentor to bed when he falls asleep drunk.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. He gets this insight into his character, and then he's made vulnerable. And then, Daniel demonstrates his character again of like honoring his sensei.
Yeah.
And then, simultaneously we see the cost of following the wrong sensei. And so, ultimately the battle really is happening between these two senseis, which is like, the Miyagi, he's dead veteran. He doesn't show it off. What's his name at Cobra Kai has got with his gun looking all tough, And then I can't help but think there's a little bit of contrast between like World War II veterans and like, not veterans themselves, full honor to any veteran, but the nature of those combats, like the nature of the World War II, like righteous combat. And then, maybe some subtle commentary about how righteous Vietnam was or wasn't.
Yeah.
I have no comment on that, but like just these two contrasting senseis that represent like light and dark. And the other one is like, he's screaming about no fear. And then meanwhile, Miyagi just doesn't demonstrate it. Like he's not worried about it. And later when
I don't need to scream out no fear, be aggressive, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. I don't need to scream that from the top of the roofs. I'm just not going to show fear and outperform you.
Yeah. And then when Daniel asks him about it, he's like, I'm afraid all the time.
Yeah.
And so instead of denying his nature and trying to force reality into this, he just goes, I'm afraid. And the point of this is not to fight. Like, well, he just demonstrates a different ethos.
He even says it's not like the like when he says like I'll train you, he says like, do you think you can train me like beat those guys? Like, I don't know if you're gonna beat those guys. He says make good fight, earn respect, then nobody bother you. Like you're gonna go out, you're gonna earn their respect regardless. You're gonna go out, you're gonna do your best, and then no matter what happens, and maybe you win, maybe I don't know. Like I can't tell you how that's gonna go.
Well, and he's got that other line where Daniel's like, they're going to kill me and then they're going to bury me. And he's like, great, then your problems will be over. It's just, he's not screaming about not having fear. He's filling in that place with discipline and wisdom and friendship, which is love. And so Daniel has found the correct apprentice, the correct sensei to apprentice under.
Yeah.
And it builds him. He gets to grow up and he fills in for this, father place, which, whether you have a father or not, I mean, everyone has a biological father unless you're a clone, but like but whether you have a relationship with your father or not, whether it's good or bad, whether you're young or old, none of them, it's just impossible for a father to be 100% adequate for all needs in all ways.
Absolutely,
so all of us in one way or another still need this thing filled in, which if God is real, then that's what he does. He fills in his sensei and becomes this ultimate ideal father figure. If he's not real, then at least he is a really, really good fictional ideal to sensei under.
Yeah, if at the very least it's the ideal and the concept of this perfect father, if that's, people get resistant to that, because if that exists, then it just points out all of their inadequacies. And, if you really follow that thread where it might lead, like there might be some life change on that side of it. Encourage you guys to do that. But it's the human person, whether it's your biological father or even like the mentor, like you see here, like Mr. Miyagi, he has his moments of weakness where he's not just the old wise guy all the time. Like he overindulges and passes out drunk and has to be like taken care of even by the one that he's training at that point too. And so it's not that like you elevate this person. Like if Miyagi was like, he's the one who will always be perfect and never let me down, all that, you're going to be, even then you're going to be disappointed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I do love every single character in this is fallible in some way and has some nuance and some depth. And
great characters. Yeah. Performances are fun. Allie, the girlfriend, like great job.
Dude, Elizabeth Shue, man.
Yeah. Has she done anything else? Like I didn't recognize.
Oh yeah,
her.
She went on. She's got a whole long career, and she got much taller. You know, like she's such a kid in this. You know, she's still like baby fat. You know, cute kid, but
she just captures that like that teenage infatuation, falling in love, and
she's such a kindred soul for him because she like she gets manipulated. You can see how like. Just by watching their interactions, you can see how awful her relationship with Johnny must have been. But you see that she's also in the process of like finding her spine and her backbone. And so she and Daniel are this great match because they kind of lend each other some courage, and they both get some agency and all that.
Yeah.
And so I mean,
it does feel like with her character, you know, like this movie's made 40 years later, you go the spoiled rich kid, clueless route with her, and that whole dynamic. Because like the class dynamic between the two of them, like that's there. Right. It's part of the story. It's not. We're not doing a statement about like there's good guys on both sides of good guys and bad guys on both sides of that line.
Yeah. It's just enough to create some conflict, and that's what you need. You need some conflict, you know. And so ultimately. You know, the movie is a battle. It's a battle of two senseis. And we see that, you know, pick your sensei carefully, like the Bob Dylan song, like you got to serve somebody. And so these guys that are serving, I forget the bad guy sensei, the Cobra Kai.
I didn't even catch his name at all.
But they say his name. It's in there somewhere, Master something. But we see that he is willing to just burn his acolytes.
Oh yeah, he just take that way when he says like, what it's like take him out or whatever. Like,
he tells the one and
go
the guy's
intentionally
like,
get disqualified in order to injure him. He's like,
and he's like, but I can beat him, and he's like, I don't want him beat, like I want to, you know, break him, and so the guy does it.
Immediately loses. Immediately disqualified.
Look, he's got virtue because first of all, he doesn't want to do it. And he's obedient, and obedience is good, but you gotta be careful who you obey. Like loyalty is good, but who are you loyal to? So he's loyal to this guy that's like, I am not loyal back. Like there is no covenant there. There's not a mutual covenant. The way Miyagi and Daniel,
you do what I tell you to, and what I tell you to do serves me.
Yeah,
maybe it'll serve you, but probably won't. But even if it does, like that's not the point.
And so he has no hesitation just throwing his future out.
Yeah.
And so that he hurts Daniel, and he immediately is apologetic. You know, it's the first time we really kind of see like these guys are human. I mean, there was an earlier scene when they're in the skeleton costumes when the kid's like, he's had enough, Johnny. And so we know that there's some mercy in there, despite this guy trying to beat it out of them. And then after Johnny does the thing, you know, and he loses, even Johnny tells him that like, hey, like, you know, you deserve this, or it's kind of a little bit lost in the, you know, the looped dialogue there.
Right.
But even Johnny has like a sense of like having really learned something from this interaction.
Yeah.
That there is a huge difference between one sensei and another, and you really have to be careful who you pick. And I feel like, you know what it reminds me of is I feel like when you see people who are truly devoted to evil, because again, if I believe in a God and like that's my sensei, I believe there's another sensei out there that's a serpent and like there's a devil, and people will devote to that sensei because you get short-term gain, short-term power. You can have no mercy. You know, you can follow that path. But what I feel like you see throughout history is devotees of that, those houses collapse really fast.
Right.
Because
because
that sensei has no interest in your well-being. And he will burn your life and your interests in a moment. And so like
he'll draw you in, he'll give you the fast life, the parties, the excitement, the addiction, the momentary pleasure, only to have it collapse under you.
Yeah. And again, whether it's a real persona entity or whether this is a miasma of archetypes over the centuries, either way, it has enough validity for me to go,
Yeah.
why don't I learn from this pattern? And you see, like, if you ever see the movie Downfall, that's it's about the final days in the bunker in Berlin with like the heads of the Nazi party, and like you just see the whole thing just implodes. They turn on each other, they commit suicide, like Europe's in ashes. You go, yeah, well, your sensei was willing to absolutely burn everything about you at the cost of getting what he wants. And so anyway, that's what that all reminds me of. It's like, pick your sensei really carefully.
Yeah. Which then this kind of gets into villain comeuppance. You know, one of the things that I thought was this era of movies just did all the time was it just like he wins the battle and then, hey, we did it.
Boom.
Credits roll.
Credits
roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's okay. There's no what happened the next day or anything
well,
like that.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
There is. And now you have to go watch Karate Kid 2. And so I almost don't want to tell you what the villain comeuppance is because I had forgotten it was different movies because it's all like one continuous story in my memory.
Oh, interesting.
Karate Kid 2 picks up right where the credits roll.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that's where it starts. And there's an altercation in the parking lot. And you could go look it up on YouTube if you want to. I kind of don't want to tell you, but it is also 40 years later, you know. But there is a villain comeuppance.
Okay. I mean, I was going to say, I think just for this movie itself, the two senseis, their apprentices go to battle, and the one that's too aggressive gets that aggression turned on him, and is that style is proven inferior on a stage in front of everyone else.
Yeah. Can I get tinfoil hattie just for a second?
Do it. Yeah.
Okay. Garden of Eden.
Sound like you. Garden of Eden.
Yeah, not at all. Okay. So notice that as they train, right? What do? They perfect this garden, right?
Yeah.
So in the Garden of Eden, in the story in the book of Genesis, as Adam and Eve are expelled from this place, whether it's literal or it's metaphorical or whatever it is, in the story, the curse on the serpent is you will strike his heel and he will crush your head. Okay. The end of Karate Kid is it seems like he's going to get vanquished. He's on the ropes. He's toast. He's going to die. The snake, Cobra Kai, it's coming. He has his arms up like he's being crucified.
Yeah.
And then he does this heel kick to his head. And wins the day.
Yeah.
That's my little tinfoil hat, you know, Jesus hiding in the story. Because I think he's hiding in most of the good ones.
And then he falls and he's got a slither on his belly.
And dude, Danielson's side is wounded.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So.
No, I mean, it's stuff like that. Like, you know, Danielson, the Christ-like figure of the whole thing. I don't think that's the whole arc of the movie. Now,
no, I don't.
But if I'm looking at, I'm looking at making the decision of what's the final move that Danielson uses to defeat Johnny. Like, there's something archetypal about that. There's something where it's like, yeah, that's the right decision. He'll do this move in this way that fits the way he's been training up on the post in the beach the whole time, right? So like it not only does it call back all the training and the one move we've seen him practice that he hasn't done yet. You know, it's gotta bring everything together. So it's just good filmmaking. It's just everything kind of comes together in that way, and there's this allusion to like a larger meaning beyond that, right? So like whether it's tinfoil hat level all planned out like that, or just like, you know, these happy accidents that happen in movies where like, oh, that kind of makes me make these connections to stuff that wasn't actually there. Like, that's the fun part about movie. That's the fun part about StoryDads. That's why you should listen to us. That's why you should listen to all our past episodes, because you get fun little nuggets like that, and you learn to see those in new in movies you're already watching too. So yeah, I think it's great. Yeah,
that stuff. It's the Western canon, and it's whether it's intentional or not, it's emergent in these great stories that fit into this, you know, this tapestry of storytelling.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? Look, Karate Kid 2 and 3, those are fun. I don't even know. I haven't seen them in a long time. It's sort of like I remember Superman 2 being really fun as a kid, and then you watch it now, and it's like pretty much incoherent.
Okay.
But so maybe we'll sneak back around and watch those.
Yeah, well, we keep saying we got to get a bunch of, as we're cranking through a bunch of stuff. We've done a few sequels, and we have a few more coming up. But like, you know, there's a bunch of the like sequels. What happens when you rehash another thing in different ways that goes bad? You know, we've unpacked that in a couple episodes already. But there's lots of stories we could do that with. You know, one question I had for you maybe to wrap up, we're talking about this movie as a dad's night out. It comes from a past era. I kind of want to show this to my 8-year-old. I think he'd love it.
I know. Yeah. I was going to watch it with mine last night in prep for this recording, and he had a friend over, so he got distracted. So I didn't watch it until I was about 8. I think I was 7 or 8. Because I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah.
My first movie in theaters that I remember was Back to the Future.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Technically, I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters, but I was too young to remember it. My parents took me at age 3, and that explains a lot. It imprinted.
Hey, man, going to. Not that you would remember it, but that's the Star Wars movie.
Well,
no, Return of the Jedi. I thought Empire was in my mind. Yeah, no, Return of the Jedi is not the Star Wars movie. Yeah. No, Empire. How old were you been when Empire came out? You wouldn't have been born yet.
A newborn.
Yeah,
I was a newborn.
Empire's the Star Wars movie. Strike that, Star Wars fans. Get out of my DMs.
Get out of the DMs. You all know it's true as well. Like anybody, I don't think there's anybody left that still makes the Return of the Jedi argument. I think that
no. I mean that Return of the Jedi is better than Empire. I don't know anyone who makes that argument. This is total aside. We'll wrap up with this, but I see a lot of the new generation. They love Revenge of the Sith, as one of the, which I'm here for it. I think it's silly to put that on the same level as Empire, but of the original prequels, by far the best one. Some great moments in it as a whole cohesive movie. It's not Final Battle's great. Anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So man, this was fun. What are we doing next week?
I have no idea. Okay. I'm not even thinking that far ahead.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm still upright.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, we'll see. I know we're talking about doing some Story Mom stuff. See, we're at the point where we've been doing this. Again, welcome back. This is episode 52 we're doing.
Yes.
And so, we've burned through all the past stuff we've already recorded. So we're just kind of doing this week to week. So if you put in requests and let us know what you want to hear, there's a pretty good chance it'll come out in the next 2 weeks because we're kind of figuring this out as we go. We have a rough idea of some things, but there's plenty of room for flexibility on that. So, but yeah, man, this was fun. Thanks for getting me to watch this classic.
Yeah, you bet. We'll do it again. All right.
Bye, everyone. That was the Karate Kid. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Story Dads, Dad's Night Out. Stay with us for next week. I believe we're doing Brave with our friend Katie Barkley. That's going to be a ton of fun. So let us know what you think. And remember, like, comment, subscribe, and check out our conversation with Katie on Brave next week.